please believe me, TB is the number one infectious killer in India, even today. Unfortunately, it's a never-ending line. आप अगर पहले 3 सिगरेट दिन में पीते थे, जब e-cigarettes आए, because you have this mentality, it's safe.
Yeah.
So you at least have 10 times in a day. But let me really tell you, that is far from the truth. Vaping is, from a respiratory point of view, are very notorious. Unke droppings, unke feathers. This sort of a continuous exposure can give rise to a very specific form of lung fibrosis. We have seen patients who ultimately progress to a stage where they need a lung transplant because of this.
And all this because of
Yes.
the whole world went through a COVID phase, and everything was related to basically lungs. How was it? Like, if you want to describe that journey.
I think the one word which I'll tell you was fatigue.
When you look back today, do you realize what exactly you went through?
It's very hard to put in words, but it was just a massive rush of adrenaline. And wo time pe it's just like, boss, you have to go, you have to work. If you don't, there are so many lives which will die.
Do you think something changed about the way you look at life after that whole phase for you? Smoking nahi, vaping karte is what our generation normally believes in. Because whenever there are any doubts, any questions, what we do normally, we just Google it out. And we get the answers that we want to hear. But that's exactly why today's podcast is going to change everything, how you look at all these lifestyle changes that we are introducing in our lives. And we are getting almost addicted to it. So today we have Dr. Kapil Iyer with us, who is lung transplant physician, who is creating most amazing work in his profession, but that's not enough for him. And that's exactly why he has also started his podcast, which is called as DTalks with Dr. Kapil. So next time you feel like Googling out what is good for your lungs, is your lungs performing amazingly well, or is there anything wrong with you? Don't do that. Just listen to this podcast. You will get complete idea about what exactly you need to do. And trust me, guys, your perspective towards your life is going to change. So keep watching and enjoy this podcast. So hello, doctor. Welcome to the Amrita Kunal Show. It's a pure honor for me to have you here. So today, the one of the reasons I'm so looking forward, and I'm sure all the followers are looking forward to this podcast, because we all want to know you from two different perspectives. First, from a physician, a doctor, and second is a pure human who has a capacity to be vulnerable in front of everyone. So, looking forward.
Thank you so much, first of all, for inviting me. And yes, I'm very excited to answer both aspects of my life.
Yes. So let's go.
Perfect.
So, doctor, I want to know first thing from you that how was your life before you became doctor? Like, was it your calling always to choose this, field, or did it just happen over a period of time?
It's a very interesting question to start off with. Tender age of 17, when your brain cells are a bit less and your adrenaline is really, outpouring and all. At that age, it was more of an impulsive sort of a decision on my part, to become a doctor. Mere family, I am the first generation doctor. So I never really thought out this decision completely. So it was really a struggle कि मेरे को बनना है मुझे बनना और मैं बन के ही रहूँगा करके. So that was what basically started off my journey into the huge journey into medicine. And I'm thankful for that impulsive thought which came in my mind today. I believe it served me well. It is serving me well. And I'm able to touch a lot of lives, save a lot of people, and at least treat and manage so many people. So that gives me a lot of satisfaction.
Wow, that's amazing. And any particular reason to choose, lung transplant or a lung specialist?
So I'll tell you a bit of a real incident. कि मैं जब मेरा undergraduation जब कर रहा था, a lot of students, we are very geared up to go into the operating theater, see a surgery and all. My first case which I was seeing was a gallbladder removal surgery. And like a small percentage of people वो surgery देखते देखते मुझे भी चक्कर आ गया. So while my friends were enjoying in the theater inside, I was बेचारा outside, lying on the table over there. That day I decided कि मैं कुछ भी बनूंगा, but I won't be a surgeon. So that helped me to at least differentiate between surgery and medicine.
And what was your age at that time to have this kind of clarity?
I was probably 20. Because I just couldn't handle OT, going into the theater at that point of time, that smell, that anesthesia, and, seeing bodies and dissecting. It took some time for me to get used to it. But I never really felt surgery was my calling. So I wanted medicine. So in India, your specialization depends on two things. First of all, it depends on how badly and how strongly you want it. Second, it depends on your marks and your rank, which, in the entrance exam.
Yeah.
So I got a rank which was me getting pulmonary medicine in a really good institute versus me doing general medicine in a really far away place. So I chose the former. That was how I was introduced to the field of respiratory medicine.
Wow. And according to you, what's the best thing about being in this respiratory medicine field?
The best thing is, unfortunately, I'll make this statement. You don't have a dearth of patients. India is unfortunately a very diverse, a very complicated sort of a structure. Basic things such as smoking. आप जितने इंटीरियर इंडिया में जाओ, जो चूल्हा एक्सपोजर करंटली इट्स बीइंग चेंज, लेकिन ये सारे जो है अनरेगुलेटेड ऑक्यूपेशंस जो है, एयर पोल्यूशन जो है, डस्ट जो है, इतने सारे फैक्टर्स हमारे कंट्री में है. That is why respiratory diseases unfortunately are on the rise. Okay. And I forgot to mention the basic thing, which is tuberculosis. We have advanced to such a state जहाँ पे हम transplantation की सब बात कर रहे हो. But please believe me, TB is the number one infectious killer in India even today.
Oh.
So this also comes under the purview of pulmonary medicine because 80% of TB is in the lungs.
Lungs, yes.
So ये सारे जो चीजें हैं, so there's a lot of variety of patients. Unfortunately, it's a never-ending line.
My goodness. And what, according to you, are the biggest contributors to this problem?
So first is air pollution, which I feel, which I really think has increased manifold over the last probably 5 to 10 years. If you go up north, especially in the winter, you will understand the effects of an AQI touching 1,000 and 1,500. Yes. I am telling you how it has impacted us in our practices. Usually you see an asthmatic patient, आपने दवाई दिया, probably 3 days, 4 days, you're like, चलो यार आप ठीक हो जाओगे. Now that same 3-4 days is now coming to 7 to 8. It's just not in your hands, it's not in the patient's hand, but there is so many surrounding factors which is impacting, treatment, and, everything is getting delayed. Second, जैसे मैंने आपको पहले बताया कि इंडिया में ना स्मॉल स्केल इंडस्ट्रीज जो है ना वो काफ़ी अनरेगुलेटेड है. तो उसमें भी आपको बहुत सारी चीज़ें, बहुत सारे डिजीजेस देखने मिलता है which unfortunately do not come into the mainstream.
Okay.
ये है. And third,
people don't talk about it.
People don't talk about it. Do not talk about it. Third, which is a very इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्टर इन इंडिया, एक डिजीज है जिसका नाम है COPD, क्रॉनिक ऑब्स्ट्रक्टिव पल्मोनरी डिजीज. अगर आप COPD को वेस्ट में देखोगे, इट इज ऑलमोस्ट एन एक्सक्लूसिव स्मोकिंग रिलेटेड डिजीज.
Okay.
In India, it's almost like 50-50. We are not as heavy smokers as the West. I'm not saying we are not smokers.
We are not as heavy.
No.
Oh.
In the West, you see kids. It's a very normalized culture to smoke. In India, it is still not normalized.
Yes.
We are smoking, yes, but not to the extent which happens in the West.
But the number is definitely higher in India.
अगर आप overall population नहीं, the number of smokers is higher in the West.
Number of people suffering from lung conditions
100% in India बहुत ज़्यादा है.
बहुत ज़्यादा.
And in India हमारे पास non-smoking COPD category के बहुत लोग हैं.
So which is not happening, lung problems not happening due to smoking.
Yes, so COPD, that same disease जो हम smokers में देखते हैं West में, in India we see a lot in non-smokers. जिसमें से मैं आपको बताऊं, नंबर 1 contributory factor जो है वो घर पे जो चूल्हा हम बोलते हैं ना, चूल्हा में बनाना है, आपको तंदूर जो बनाना है, these are all indoor biomass fuels. We've got studies जो बताते हैं हम जो अगरबत्ती करते हैं, हम जो धूप रखते हैं, हम जो मच्छर के लिए वो आपको पता है वो कॉइल्स जो आते हैं,
Coils,
ये
yes.
सारे जो छोटे छोटे रूम फ्रेशनर्स जो सारे हैं,
My goodness.
all of this also is an important contributor of indoor air pollution.
As you're saying, I'm just making mental calculations, what all things I am also doing unknowingly.
Yes, all of us unfortunately have been doing this unknowingly, but now we do have studies which show that all of this also contributes. And an interesting thing, let me tell you, I spoke about tuberculosis. If we have a large proportion of patients जो TB probably 10-15 साल पहले हो गए, post TB there is always some sort of a residual stigmata in the lung.
Okay.
So in India we have got this specific entity which is post TB COPD. तो जो स्मोकिंग जैसे जो डिजीज है वेस्ट में, वैसे हमारे कंट्री में टीबी के बाद भी कुछ कुछ मरीज है जिनको अनफॉर्चुनेटली ये ब्रेथलेसनेस और ये सब परसिस्टेंट रहता है. It's only because unfortunately you got TB sometime probably in the past.
Okay, and then to what extent all these problems, that we are talking about lead to that stage where people actually have to go for a lung transplant? They have no other option.
So I won't be able to probably give you a specific number कि कितना
Yeah, I don't want
proportion.
number, but I just want to know the
Yeah.
symptoms or how exactly that whole journey happens.
So हम usually lung transplant पता है आपको कब बोलते हैं? Whenever you have got any chronic lung disease, which can be multiple. COPD तो is one of it. वैसे lung fibrosis भी हो जाए. Fibrosis मतलब आपका lung कड़क हो जाना.
Okay.
We have got something known as bronchiectasis, जो literal translation is आपका जो airways जो है वो थोड़ा मोटा हो गया है जगह जगह में.
Okay.
Which we see very commonly after tuberculosis. So you've got a lot of these diseases. The dictum which I follow is, if you have got any of these chronic diseases, you are following up with a proper qualified person, you are on treatment, correct treatment. Unfortunately, despite maximum treatment, आपकी condition worsen हो रहा है. You have suddenly come on oxygen. आप चल नहीं पाते हो, आपका ऑक्सीजन पहले सिर्फ आधा लीटर है, आधा के बाद 1 हो गया, 1 के बाद 3 हो गया, 3 के बाद 4 हो गया. So these are all signs that your lung disease is progressing.
And it's becoming chronic almost.
Exactly. So I always say कि ऐसे सारे patients at least warrant a transplant evaluation. मैं ऐसे नहीं बोल रहा कि सब में transplant हम करेंगे, लेकिन transplant करने से पहले भी हमें evaluate करना है कि आपको transplant की जरूरत है या नहीं है. तो ये जितने भी patients हैं, my request is just get evaluated and then let us talk about the next thing, whether you need a transplant or not.
Okay. And then, doctor, what is the basic criteria that you have that where you say that, okay, this person needs it and is safe to go for the transplant surgery?
Perfect. So we've got something known as a transplant window. ये concept मैं हमेशा बताता हूँ कि एक disease जो है progress हो रहा है, यहाँ तक patient is okay, suddenly starts going down, a sort of a green zone है in which a referral should be done. My simple explanation is transplant window is the period when a patient is ill enough to need a transplant, but fit enough to tolerate it. This is a very interesting concept,
Yes,
very
and it's
important
very deep one. Yes.
because हम कभी कभी रेफरल्स देखते हैं. There are certain patients who are completely on the bed. वो हिल भी नहीं सकते. ऐसे ही बेचारे पड़े हुए हैं. They are on very high oxygen. बेड से उठ के बाथरूम भी जा नहीं सकते. खाना भी उनको कोई ना कोई आके सर्व कर रहा है. दे थोड़ा सा टर्न करेंगे तो उनका ऑक्सीजन डाउन हो जाता है. Majority of the referrals we see at this stage.
Oh.
This stage unfortunately is already late. You have surpassed the transplant window.
Okay, so even if one can afford, one cannot go for it.
No. See, affording is a very different thing and a successful outcome is a very
Very
different.
true, very true.
मेडिसिन में
Yes.
हमने एक चीज नोटिस किया, आपके पास जितना भी पैसे हो,
After a point, it won't help
guarantee
you.
कि
Yes.
आपका एक सक्सेसफुल आउटकम होएगा. So money, you can afford obviously the surgery and everything, but it is not a guarantee that you will have a successful outcome.
Yeah. Whenever I think of Mr. Rakesh Junjunwala, I always think of this. He has all the money. He had all the money in the world, but it couldn't help him. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so, doctor, I wanted to know that what is the age group that you cater to for all these lung-related problems, and do you happen to see any shocking realizations while doing this examination? Like, ये age में कैसे किसी को आ सकता है? That kind of feeling.
So, जैसे मेरा primary qualification एक pulmonologist है, I have subspecialized into a lung transplant. So I see all adults with respiratory diseases. So my age group will extend right from the age of 18 से लेके 80 और 90 जितना भी people are
Okay,
away.
so you do get people in 18, 20, 25.
100%.
Yeah.
So there are certain diseases in India जो sort of inborn diseases है, genetic disease है, जो bronchiectasis जो मैं आपको
Yeah.
बोल रहा था, जो TB के बाद होता है.
Okay.
But bronchiectasis sometimes also happens genetically. You have got no reason for
So
it.
it's not bronchitis. It's
No,
different.
bronchitis is bronchitis. Itis मतलब inflammation.
Yeah.
Inflammation of the bronchi is bronchitis.
Yeah.
Bronchiectasis means widening of the bronchi. Ectasia मतलब मोटा होना.
And this is, you are saying that this is genetic.
It can be genetic. So we sometimes have patients who are 15 years old, 16 years old, जिनको full blown bronchiectasis होता है. And they come to us, we see the X-ray, we are shocked.
And
But
what are
this
the
is-
symptoms for the kids?
So these patients very characteristically will have cough with lots and lots of sputum production. जैसे हम जब वायरल के बाद आते हैं इतना सा रहता है, लेकिन sometimes they can fill up this entire cup in one day. One of our questions जो हम पूछते हैं, we actually put a cup in front of the patient कि मुझे एक बात बताओ, 24 घंटे में मैं आपको एक कप देता हूँ, अगर आप कफ इसमें जमा करोगे तो कितना भरेगा? एंड दे विल टेल यू कि सर ये तो पूरा एक कप हो जाएगा. एक्सट्रीम केसेस में तो बोलेंगे सर ये तो कुछ नहीं, हमें 2 कप लगता है.
And then what is the solution for them?
The solution for them, the best solution for them, they are already having this disease. It's not going to reverse. Remember,
Okay,
it is
this is a
not
condition, so
it
basically.
is not going to reverse.
Even at the age of 15, 16 also detected.
कोई फर्क नहीं
Oh my
पड़ता.
goodness.
Youth or old age is not going to reverse this condition. It's a permanent condition. You have to learn to drain your respiratory secretions better. तो फिजियोथेरेपी जब हम करते हैं उसमें पर्टिकुलर एक एरिया है जिसको हम बोलते हैं postural drainage.
Okay.
So जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ आई गिव यू एन एग्जाम्पल, सपोज एज अ पेशेंट जिसका सिर्फ ये पार्ट में ब्रोंकिएक्टासिस है, ये लंग ठीक है, सो द ड्रेनेज ऑफ दिस एरिया विल बी टुवर्ड्स दिस, सो द पेशेंट हैज टू लाई ऑन दिस साइड so that it completely gets drained, and in the sputum he has to cough it out, deliberately cough it out.
Do they lead normal life? Can they lead a normal life?
If you
with
follow
this condition?
this postural drainage religiously, do it twice a day religiously, they can lead a normal life.
And their condition might not lead to lung transplant in future,
It might not,
but the chances
but
are
the
high.
chances are it might. So it's a very plus minus thing. Every patient is different. इसके लिए हम religiously इनको follow up करते हैं every time. आपका कंडीशन वर्सन हो रहा है क्या? आपका CT स्कैन में ज़्यादा लीजन्स दिख रहा है क्या? आपका ऑक्सीजन कैपेसिटी कम हो रहा है क्या? So we see so many things on every follow up. The minute we understand that your disease is progressing, we have a frank conversation.
Okay.
कि you know so and so there is an option available which is so and so, please consider it. Go to a specialized center, meet specialized people for transplantation. So this conversation needs to start early when you have first noticed कि condition progress हो रहा है.
Okay. And what is the youngest patient that you have consulted who had to go for, or you realize that this person would need a transplant?
15 years.
What are you saying?
At the age of 15 years, and this person was suffering from bronchiectasis, जो condition मैं आपको
and
बोल
he
रहा है.
actually went for it.
Unfortunately, no. Because, see, our job, they couldn't afford it, or sometimes they're not convinced, or they are like, yaar, dekho jo bhi, I want to live a life which is the same. I accept this. I don't want to do something which will have some risks or something. So, unfortunately, that person did not undergo a lung transplantation.
Okay. And now coming to that next question only, to what extent lung transplants are successful?
So lung transplant, you have to understand, is the toughest of all the transplantations, because after see, we are breathing every second.
Very true.
तो आप ट्रांसप्लांट के बाद भी जब लंग्स अंदर डालोगे तो आप तो कॉन्स्टेंटली ब्रीथ कर ही रहे हो.
Very
सो योर ट्रांसप्लांटेड लंग्स इज इन कॉन्स्टेंट एक्सपोजर टू द एटमॉस्फियर. सो इन्फेक्शंस बोलो, डस्ट बोलो, वॉट एवर, सो इट्स अ कॉन्स्टेंट अटैक.
Okay.
सो इसका सर्वाइवल कंपेयर टू अदर ऑर्गन्स इज लेसर. आई विल गिव यू एग्जांपल. सपोज आपने हार्ट ट्रांसप्लांट किया, average survival will be somewhere between probably 9 to 11 years or something.
After the transplant.
After the transplant. Liver आपने किया तो it's about 12, 14 years. In fact, liver में तो बोलते if you cross the 10-year mark, because of liver transplant, there will be no mortality. Mortality will be probably some other
reasons.
Kidneys, तो sometimes we see patients 20, 25 years, they are surviving and all. Lungs का average survival after a lung transplant is roughly 6 years.
Oh, and there are people who go for it still?
They, of course, because there is an instant change in your quality of life. देखिए आपका बॉडी का द मोस्ट फंडामेंटल प्रोसेस हैज बीन अफेक्टेड विच इज ब्रीदिंग.
Breathing, very
आप
true.
कुछ भी करो आपको सांस लेना ही है.
Very true.
ये बहुत फंडामेंटल है. जिस इंसान को एक लंग डिजीज है आप उनसे पूछो कि एक ब्रेथ की कीमत क्या है, वो पर्सन आपको बताएगा. जब एवरी टाइम आप ऑक्सीजन पे ही हो, आप हिल नहीं पा रहे हो, एंड there's a lot of stigma, people don't take that portable oxygen.
Yeah.
We have seen so many patients जो घर पे बस अपने बेड पे अपना घर बना दिए because they don't want to go out.
Very true.
These patients, if I give them a good quality of life, if you can do your normal work, if you can even come do your whatever profession
Even
work
if it's
आपको
6
जो
years,
है,
they are more than
they are
happy.
more than willing because
Very
they
true.
see a 180-degree improvement
Wow.
in their quality of life.
Wow.
The
Amazing.
longest survival patient after lung transplant जो मैंने personally देखा is 22 years.
Oh my God.
When I was
That's amazing.
when I was doing my fellowship. So can you imagine 22
Years of
आपने-
life.
You promised
Quality life.
You promised probably 6 to 8. You've given 22.
It's like
Can you
bonus.
imagine?
Wow.
Every moment is a bonus. When you deal with people who need organ transplantation, that is when आप realize करोगे कि we are actually very lucky.
Very
हर
lucky.
एक moment is a
every moment
bonus.
I'm realizing that the way you are talking, every moment realizing that we take all these things so easily, so effortlessly for
granted.
granted.
Yes,
हाँ,
I
breathing
agree.
what's a big deal. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा सर्दी होगी, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा cough होगा, उससे ज़्यादा we have never experienced this, but the kind of life you get to see every single day, you actually understand what kind of people you meet. So if we have to only talk about from the costing point of view,
Okay.
what is the kind of cost, and is it also covered under the insurance and everything?
So in India, let me tell you the cost of, because there are different types of transplant. Let me also
Okay.
make
Okay.
a statement about
You
this.
can share the range.
There
then,
is
yeah.
a double lung transplant, there is a single lung transplant, there is a heart and lung transplant, जिसमें आप heart plus दोनों lung आप डालते हो.
अच्छा, ऐसे
So
भी
ऐसे
सर्जरीज
हाँ
होते
हाँ
हैं.
तो ऐसे 3 टाइप के सर्जरीज है in lung transplant. So the cost in India will vary between 30 to 45 lakhs.
Okay.
Which is not only the procedural cost, it is almost something like a month ka sort of a package, because
Okay.
it will include your surgery, it will include the fees, the everything of all the doctors involved, it will include probably a 7 or a 10-day ICU stay and the remaining stay in a specialized ward like a high dependency ward or something, medicines, immunosuppression, ये सारे चीज़ों को combine करके it's like a package which every hospital offers.
Okay.
If, and this is a very important statement, the fitter you are before the surgery, the quicker you go home after the surgery. Okay. Remember, if you are very determined, अगर आप अच्छे से exercise, physiotherapy सब कुछ surgery के पहले करो, the chance of you coming out of the ventilator in 24 hours after the surgery increases.
Wow.
And then you keep getting discharged quicker.
And it's very normal for you to see such kind of cases where
Yes.
people are getting
Yes.
quickly.
See, motivation is a very different thing. मैंने एक चीज रियलाइज किया, और ट्रांसप्लांट में तो ऐसे ही है, जो इंसान मोटिवेटेड है
to live
टू
longer.
लिव, आई एम टेलिंग यू, ट्रांसप्लांट का प्रोसेस इज नॉट अ 1% डिसीजन. वी हैव अ ह्यूज टीम. देयर हैव बीन इंस्टेंसेस जहाँ पे एज अ टीम हमने मना किया कि आई एम सॉरी, यू हैव क्रॉस्ड द विंडो, वी विल नॉट डू अ ट्रांसप्लांट. But sometimes patients come back to us and they surprise us with their motivation.
Wow. There's
They
zeal
go
to
home.
live.
और बोलते यार मैं I'll try to change their opinion. 3 months they come in a follow-up and we see parameters improving.
Wow.
We see their strength improving. We see their oxygen thoda sa need has reduced. Then we're like, okay, if they have shown us this fight, if they have shown us this grit, it is a positive sign that they will do better after the transplant.
Wow.
So that
That's
mental
amazing.
is a huge, huge thing.
Wow. Doctor, I want to ask one question. When the whole world went through COVID phase, and everything was related to basically lungs, what was your mental condition, and how did you, take care of that whole phase for you as a doctor, you as a family person, as a father, as a husband, as a son, and then as a doctor? How was it? Like, if you want to describe that journey.
I think the one word which I'll tell you was fatigued. Now, we were really fatigued because frontline workers थे.
Yeah.
बहुत सारे मेरे colleagues, we've had colleagues also who have unfortunately lost their life for COVID. But I'm telling you, when the time came, the entire community, and not only talking about doctors, even nurses, रास्ते में आम जनता, everyone stood up because there was no other option to fight. वो टाइम पे ना, I'm practically and literally I'm telling you, you do not have time to think and assess about I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a husband.
When you look back today, do you realize what exactly you went through?
It's very hard to put in words, but it was
I
just
know,
a
I know.
massive rush of adrenaline. And wo time pe it's just like, boss, you have to go, you have to work. If you don't, there are so many lives which will die
Did you ever feel that, what if something happens to me? That
every day.
fear would definitely be there, and still you kept going.
There is always that niggle in the back of your mind. What if kuch ho gaya? But I'm telling you, there was so much of work that it just stayed in the back of your mind only.
Do you think something changed, about you, about life, about the way you look at life after that whole phase for you?
You value life more. You value life more.
Because for us, seeing it from this side is different, but for you being there
We've
and
seen a
seeing so
lot
many
of
deaths and
we've seen a
everything.
lot of lonely ICU deaths. मैं आपको लिटरली बता रहा हूँ, you value life more. It's very sad because you don't get to see your loved ones, and it was इतना massive patient load था, इतने ऑक्सीजन की कमी है, बेड्स की कमी है, सब कुछ है कि कभी कभी टाइम भी लगता था इवन आफ्टर डेथ टू हैंड ओवर बेचारे द बॉडी ऑल्सो द फैमिली. बट you've realized that this person unfortunately has lived his or her last moments without being near your dear ones.
Yeah, yeah.
So you
yeah.
value life a lot more.
Amazing. I mean, it's a different feeling for me to hear it, because the way you are saying the loneliness. I remember one particular incident. The way I said that we lost very close family member. We came to know about that person, about that family member after 2 days of his death, because some no, it was not hospital's mistake, of course, but they were so overworked. They just happened to tell us about a wrong bed, and they said ki haan acha ho raha hai, and we all were happy. And then a call comes and says that okay, there was a mistake and this happened, and we were like shocked. But now that I'm listening to you, I'm realizing it's very easy for people like us to judge the frontline workers, but it was a different world at that time. Now, coming to another question, Doctor, the kind of culture we belong to, the kind of, Indian mentality towards health that we have. People tend to take health very, very casually for everything, be it your meal timings, be it your mental health, physical health, everything. And I happened to meet a lot of people who were smokers when we were in college, when we were in 20s and all. And now they take a lot of pride in saying that, Arey yaar, I have switched to vaping now because वो कम harmful है. So what is your take on this?
First of
all my friends, I want you to hear this very, very
First of all, I start
closely.
squirming in my seat. जब आप बोलते हो ना कि
Yes, I saw
we
your
take
face.
health a bit, because I also take my health unfortunately not too seriously, and people know this about me. But smoking by itself is a huge menace. Unfortunately, it has been propagated. It was propagated at one point of time to be very cool. That's when you got an entire generation hooked onto smoking. For us who are non-smokers, we look at the act of smoking. It's very easy for us to dismiss them. But you have to understand that isme jo compound hai, which is nicotine, it psychologically, you have this dependence on smoking. So, unless these people get a lot of support with family, with a proper you actually have psychiatrists and pulmonologists working in tandem, so that these people get out of it, because nicotine dependence इनके अंदर भर भर के हो जाता है. You just started off something very cool, चलो यार करते दिन में 2 का 3, 3 का 10, उसका 20, and then you start getting dependent on it. That's a
And what
huge.
kind of mental dependency it creates?
You ask any smoker, it's the most common substance which people have failed trying to stop smoking. It's the most common thing, because after one day or something, इतना craving आपको हो जाता है कि you need that kick.
Okay.
You need that kick. So it's very difficult, So smoking programs and all cessation जो है, it's designed in such a way that, आपको जो first 7 to 8 days are very crucial. That will make or break you. And again, it comes back to your mentality also, कि how strong you are. If you want to kick this habit and you get the necessary support without peer pressure, you should be able to do it. But that support is very crucial. Coming to the second part of it, so there was a lot of campaign worldwide कि e-cigarettes का जो main, जो vape जो आप बोल रहे थे, e-cigarettes जो main जो आया था, you have to understand that cigarette में nicotine is the dependent बट बाकी के जितने भी चीजें हैं, these are the chemicals which after burning gives rise to so much of diseases. So e-cigarettes came out as an alternative to smoking.
Very true.
So that it gives you nicotine, which is a dependent thing, and it does not eliminate all the other chemicals, but it decreases it.
Okay.
So one thing which everyone saw was, because this was propagated कि this is the answer to cigarette.
Exactly.
You know,
Very
cessation
true.
है, यही
Yeah.
है. You can be cool also and you can be safe also at the
Yeah.
same time. This was massively propagated. People fell for it. Unfortunately, what we realized it because of such aggressive marketing campaign and all of that, the number of e-cigarette usage actually really increased. तो आप अगर पहले 3 सिगरेट दिन में पीते थे, जब e-cigarettes आए, because you have this mentality,
Yeah.
it's safe.
Yeah.
So you at least have 10 times in a day. So
Exactly.
जो इंसान का 3 था वो 10 हो गया, because you have got this heroism inside you कि यार it's
अरे, ये
safe.
तो सेफ है.
एकदम
It's just
safe
like that,
है.
you know, healthy eating and junk eating. One
Exactly.
chakli you will have one, but अगर हेल्दी होगी तो आप 10 खाओगे, because ये तो हेल्दी है.
Yeah, but let me
Yes.
really tell you, that is far from the truth.
अच्छा.
Vaping is not safe. I'll tell you the reasons also why. Number one, it still has got nicotine. Nicotine has got full systemic effects, not only dependence. आप अगर देखोगे तो ये सब it's injuries to pregnant women, children and all of that. Why? Because ये जो chemicals जो है, it can actually affect even your unborn fetus.
And it can stay for how many years? Like
Stay a lot of years, at least 2 to 3 years at least.
Okay, so females who say that, you know, okay, I'm planning a baby and that's why, you know, for last 1 or 2 months I've stopped smoking.
1 or
You
2 months is
still-
too less.
Acha, you
It's
still
too
feel
less.
that, you know, it can affect?
Yeah,
And
it
to what
should.
extent, you know, all these things can affect unborn babies?
So
Or
it
can
can-
have, you know, effects afterwards?
So that's well documented. So the most common effect of a mother smoking cigarette on a baby is you see something known as IUGR, which is intrauterine growth retardation. उसका मतलब जो fetus जो है पहले से ही थोड़ा कम underweight होता है,
Exactly.
preterm होता है, premature हो जाता है, and then they have a lot of problems, you know, in getting past that first 1 month of life. So we've seen this effects, and there's a lot of papers also which has been done on this.
Okay.
And you know, vaping may, because it was marketed in such a way, it's not that it is chemical free. It has the same toxic chemicals, but in a lesser sort of quantity as compared to your traditional cigarettes. So please do not think that vaping बहुत safe है और हमें कुछ नहीं होगा. ऐसे नहीं है. Nicotine toxicity मतलब dependence आप पे हो ही रहा है, और दूसरा ये सारे chemicals के कारण भी you will have their effects.
Wow, this is an amazing thing, and it's coming from you. Will have definitely have a lot of weightage to it. Now, doctor, coming to the next question, what are those things people can do? Because see, pollution is something that we can't, you know, like we can't do anything. We are staying here. We can't just change our country just to live better life, even if it's possible sometimes. So, what are the basic things that we can do to reduce the chances of, you know, lung diseases, conditions, and whatever that is there in our hand? What can you suggest?
So, first of all, lead a healthy lifestyle yourself.
Okay.
In general, I'm saying ki, you know, the more physically active you are, the more your respiratory muscles, the more your overall structure is better. It is always adequate and better for your lung health. That's the first thing. Second, smoking, vaping, whatever sort of tobacco that you are using.
Even hookah.
Even hookah is a huge, it's almost like a culture for youngsters nowadays.
Yes,
You know,
very
they take
true.
a lot of pride that we are going into a hookah bar. It's almost like a status symbol. I am sorry, but this sort of mentality and thinking needs to change. Because आप जब एक hookah bar में आप enter करो, it's almost like a complete smoke filled zone. You know, you see. So जो, you know, probably 20 cigarettes जो करना चाहिए, just 1 or 2 hours in such a zone is doing the same thing. So there is nothing cool about a hookah parlor or a hookah bar or something. So do not at all get indulged in all of this. That's
Just one question here that's coming in my mind when it comes to hookah. We have so many Asian countries where, you know, having hookah while talking, while having food, normal. It's a culture. It's a part of their culture. For us, it's still a shosha kind of
Yeah.
feel, but for them, it's a culture.
Yeah.
So, do you also come across, or do they also suffer from, you know, lung problems higher than what we do?
a lot, because
And
anyway,
still, it goes on like.
it just goes on, because see, there are some things about a culture which unfortunately you can't change. Because see, this is something which is embedded over generations. It's very hard for you to change something, you know, you can
Yeah.
probably change on an individual level.
But
लेकिन आप
do
एक
you really feel that do you really see that huge number coming from that culture or those countries, you know,
100%
having lung issues and all?
है, lung issues definitely है, because see, I'll tell you one thing also. हम जब pulmonologist है ना, when a patient comes to us, we are very insisted. हम पूछते रहते हैं, आपने स्मोकिंग कब स्टार्ट किया, आपने स्मोकिंग कब स्टॉप किया, दिन में कितने मैक्सिमम सिगरेट्स, एंड और पेशेंट्स गेट इरिटेटेड, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट, कि आप इतना क्यों पूछ रहे हो. आई एम अ स्मोकर, जस्ट एक्सेप्ट इट. बट in our mind we calculate something known as a smoking index, which is number of cigarettes you have smoked into number of years, the whole divide by 20. That number for us is very important.
Oh.
It's very important. The higher the number, the more chances कि आपकी क्या 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 lung diseases हो सकता है. Now hookah for example, you know, जो आप फैमिली में बोलते हैं ना कि शीशा का कभी जो है एक ट्रेडिशन जो है, all of this complete air pollution, these things completely knock our formula out because we are unable to categorize it कि आपके कितनी इफेक्ट है.
So your lung can be damaged, but still a doctor would
हाँ,
not come to know
हाँ,
because
जैसे, हाँ,
there is no proper answer to it.
Yes, because cigarette है, बीड़ी है, आपने कितना यूज
You
किया
can
दिन में,
quantify
I can
that.
quantify it.
हाँ,
So for me it's
exactly.
helpful. लेकिन इंडोर एयर पोल्यूशन जो है, आई कैन नॉट क्वान्टिफाई. आपके घर पे चूल्हा है, 20 साल से है, मैं क्वान्टिफाई नहीं कर पाऊंगा. आप हुक्का पार्लर में डेली जाके बैठो, आई कैन नॉट क्वान्टिफाई. आप अगर हुक्का शीशा यू नो बचपन से आप देखे जा रहे हो, आई कैन नॉट क्वान्टिफाई. एयर पोल्यूशन बाहर है, AQI है 150 का है, आई कैन नॉट क्वान्टिफाई दैट इनटू द नंबर ऑफ सिगरेट्स. सो इट बिकम्स प्रॉब्लमैटिक फॉर अस टू ट्राई टू इंसर्ट इट इनटू फॉर्मूलास.
Such an amazing information. I mean, I don't know people know about it. I have never even heard it from doctors directly. Of course, this happens to be, that's one of the best things about this podcast, where we come to know this aspect of smoking and, you know, the ill effects of smoking, the way you have made us realize. So doctor, now one myth that really, really irritates you, you know, among people like us, you know, who don't know all these, who don't have this kind of knowledge. What is that one myth? And आपका reaction ऐसा होता है कि अरे यार ऐसे नहीं है. Who told you that? You know,
So
that
मैं-
kind of feel.
मैं एक्चुअली 1 नहीं, मैं 2 आपको,
हाँ, please.
चलो मैं 3 आपको बता देता हूँ.
अच्छा, very happy.
सबसे पहला, vaping, hookah, and you know, the smoking culture is very cool. I am sorry, that's the number one myth which needs to go out. That's the first thing. There's nothing cool about all of this. ठीक है. Second जो है, very irritating aspect जो मुझे personally मेरे practice में लगता है कि asthmatics जो है, their usage of inhalers, they feel there's a big myth. I have a problem, I use inhalers, problem solved, throw the inhalers. That is not true. Asthmatics need a proper tailored course of inhaler treatment. Even when you're fine after an attack, you have to continue using the inhaler till we pulmonologists do a lung function, see improvement, and then we start decreasing the inhaler.
So you mean to say they reduce from their side, like they do their own
They stop
calculation?
it. They stop it. देखिए, मुझे wheezing हो रहा है, मैं आपके पास आ गया, आपने मुझे इनहेलर प्रिस्क्राइब किया, 3 दिन के बाद मैं ठीक हूँ, I stop it.
Oh, that cannot be done.
Should
It
not be
has
done.
It has to get tapered down. That
Yes.
too, as per
Yes.
your
starting and stopping
guidance.
of all of these inhalers should be done under the guidance of a
This
doctor.
is truly a big myth, because you know most of us also have the same
Yes.
myth कि अच्छा हो गया.
Exactly.
It's done.
और तीसरी जो मैं आपको बताता हूँ, not exactly a myth but something which is practiced in our society, we have a lot of love for pigeons. कबूतर जो है बहुत आते हैं, you see कबूतर खानास everywhere, लोग दाना देते हैं, they have got different practices, different reasons to do it. From a respiratory point of view, pigeons are very notorious. उनके droppings, उनके feathers.
Only pigeons.
Only pigeons exclusively. There are parrots and parakeets also, lovebirds also, but pigeons, because it is more prevalent in the population, this sort of a continuous exposure can give rise to a very specific form of lung fibrosis, which we call as hypersensitivity pneumonitis. बड़ा नाम है.
Oh my goodness.
But
This
it's
is shocking.
It's a very
Have you come
typical-
across such kind of
many cases.
What are you saying?
First year के pulmonary medicine के जो resident doctors है, उनकी भी OPD में भरा हुआ रहेगा. They'll be seeing these patients.
And happening because of pigeons?
Yes, this is true. We have seen patients who ultimately progress to a stage where they need a lung transplant because of
And
this.
all this because of pigeons.
Yes. And they are shocked. आप जैसे shocked
I'm
वैसे they are
glad I
shocked.
asked this question
I
to
know.
you. Oh my, I have no words.
So they are also as shocked. अरे सर क्या है, कबूतर तो है, मैं तो दाना ही डाल रहा हूँ, उसमें इतना क्या प्रॉब्लम है? आई एम सॉरी, योर लंग फाइब्रोसिस इज द प्रॉब्लम एंड अनफॉर्चुनेटली इट हैज हैपेंड. एंड आई टेल यू द वर्स्ट पार्ट इज, एक रीजन है जहाँ पे सपोज मैं दाना डाल रहा हूँ बट एवरी सिंगल पर्सन इन दैट एरिया इज अफेक्टेड. इट इज वेरी वेल पॉसिबल कि मुझे कुछ ना हो बट और किसी को हो सकता है.
Oh.
So it's a huge menace, pigeon menace, and we are struggling, counseling, explaining, and telling our patients about this because sometimes people don't understand.
I mean, I really feel that we should have a separate discussion only and only on this aspect because most of the times, people who are staying in Gujarati, Marwadi communities also, it's a very normal culture. Like I have seen this kind of culture and we have never felt anything wrong. On the contrary, we have always felt that it's an amazing thing for people to do. And now you're saying this and nobody has an idea. There is no one, I have never seen any sort of articles related to this.
There are lots of articles. Just type
Yeah, at least I have not come across.
Yeah,
Yes.
just type hypersensitivity pneumonitis. It's a big word, but I mean it's a self-explanatory. Hypersensitive, मतलब आप बहुत sensitive हो.
Yeah.
Pneumonitis.
So there can be people who are just hypersensitive.
Yeah.
Oh.
So मैं exactly मैं यही बोल रहा हूँ कि just because एक area जहाँ पे बहुत, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि सबको होगा. कुछ लोगों को होगा. क्यों होगा? Because you are unlucky and your body is predisposed to it.
Oh.
So your body is hypersensitive.
I'm going to go home and I'm going to tell my father-in-law about it because it's his birthday and he is very fond of pigeons. So I very strongly feel that this is some sort of message for him.
Right.
To Dad, प्यार करो but दूर से करो.
I know.
Yeah,
दूर
that's
से प्यार कभी-कभी बेहतर प्यार होता है.
exactly.
And I want
exactly.
people who are listening to this podcast, this is a very important
very
message.
true. Yeah, and please share this kind of information because at least I have never come across something like this. And I used to feel that, I am aware of so many things. But this is something so shocking. So now, Doctor, coming to this, I am feeling so glad that, I happen to ask these questions. What is the best thing about your profession that gives you that, happiness while you go to sleep? कि यार बहुत अच्छा काम किया, बहुत अच्छे cases आए, but I kind of gave a very good answer, solution. What is that best thing?
तो यहाँ पे मैं मेरा profession I'm seeing from a lung transplant point of view, not from a pulmonology transplant point of view.
Okay.
I feel very happy कि धीरे धीरे अभी awareness in society बढ़ रहा है. और जो मैंने पहले आपको बोला वही है, because I have seen so many patients have a drastic improvement in their quality of life. That change, and you will understand that only when you see that change. One of the, I don't want to go into names because of confidentiality reports and all of that, but there was a patient, I'll tell you, who was on such a high requirement of oxygen. Bichara could not get up, do everything. Ultimately, he came on one of the machines, जिसमें almost 90% oxygen की उसकी requirement थी. That guy was not even from India. He was from a foreign country. He got a lung, and there was a 180-degree change. His entire personality brightened up. I almost felt कि यार मैं कोई दूसरा पेशेंट से बात कर रहा हूँ.
Wow.
Because you don't understand the mental, anguish that they face, and there's a sudden change. They realize, अरे अब मेरा लाइफ नॉर्मल हो गया करके. ये चेंज जब आप देखोगे खुद की आंखों से, you will remember that change.
What a beautiful, that one feeling that you felt at the age of 17 has actually, shaped your life so beautifully. Right? And I'm sure you must be every single day, though it is, of course, a tiring profession and expects a lot from you. I'm sure it must also be giving a lot of satisfaction to you.
Lot of satisfaction. And I must make this statement that this is just the beginning.
Wow.
This will continue to grow and grow and grow. मेरा जो passion जो है, this has to, I need to help even more patients. So I'm just at the beginning. मैं अभी भी यही मानता हूँ. There's a lot of things even for me to learn, for me to understand. This is a never-ending journey.
So now, Dr. Kapil, we have understood your most amazing life as a doctor, as a physician who is specialized in lung transplant. So then what exactly happened in your life, or what exactly inspired you to start this most amazing podcast, DTalks with Kapil? First of all, the name is amazing. When I said it and when I'm like, wow, that's so amazing.
Correct.
So how exactly this happened?
Kaha na kaha, I felt all of us need a bit of detoxing in our lives, you know. ऐसा है.
Yeah.
But it's very hard for me, to be very honest. Now that I look back, कि यार, what was at one point, you know, I always discuss everything with my wife. So पिछले 2.5 years से I always constantly have this discussion with her कि यार ये करना है, मुझे लोगों का इंटरव्यू करना है, मैं पॉडकास्ट करूँ क्या, ऐसा always doubts. One fine day, I think she got so fed up with me. She's like, Kapil, you just keep talking, you don't do anything. Do one thing, get up, do one or two, and then see how you like it. So I think that conversation, na, a little to the point that she was threatening me कि मुझे घर से बाहर निकाल देगी. That threatening, I think, was the one which did the trick, you know.
Wow.
So तब जाके I was like कि चलो, let me try, let me, you know, do it, let me try to get a lot of things into motion. A lot of ups and downs. It's not, you know, content creation is not something which is very, I mean, you'll understand, you know. So lot of trials, lot of errors, but I was very happy कि मैं जो भी doctors से मैं contact किया initially, you know, despite not having anything, they readily agreed. They were like, yeah, not an issue, we can easily do it.
But still, I'm going back to the same question. There must be something that even made you talk to your wife regarding the same. Because how many doctors would even think about, you know, coming up with podcasts? At the most, they will think that, okay, I would like to get invited as a guest. But starting something, you know, on your own, there must be something.
I agree with you. So there were 3 reasons actually, you know, I'll come to each reason separately. So first is, I faced a lot of this in my life, you know, a lot of middle class families will agree with this कि आप जब भी एक डॉक्टर विजिट में आप जब जाते हो, when they come back home, आप एक बार बस पूछिए कि क्या बताया. The only thing they will say is, हाँ ये देखो 7 दिन का दवाई दिया है and at the end of the day हमें वापस जाना है. No. बताया क्या? What is wrong? क्या हुआ है? People are clueless.
Oh, yes.
There's a lot of, you know, knowledge which is needed in the general population. They don't know what they're suffering from. They literally don't know. But उनमें इतना trust है ना एक डॉक्टर में, and I'm really thankful for that कि आपने बोला मैं ये टेस्ट करके मैं वापस, no questions asked. But I really look at it that the understanding of basic things of a disease needs to increase in our general population.
Wow.
So that is one of the reasons why I started my podcast. और मैं हमेशा मेरे जो guests हैं, जब एक briefing sort of एक जैसे होता है, मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ, please consider me to be a non-medical person. Please talk in a language which people will understand.
Yes.
You know, someone will say, यार मुझे वो MDR pneumonia हो गया. No, मुझे लंग में एक इन्फेक्शन हो गया, जो जंतु जो कॉज किया उस पे कोई दवाई काम नहीं किया. Look at the difference in the two. People will understand the
This
latter. They will
language,
not
layman's
understand.
language, yeah.
That was one of the reasons. Second reason was, personally and in my professional career, I was probably not at that stage where I want to. You know, I always look at a lot of seniors and I'm in awe with a lot of seniors. कि यार
Where do you want to be? Where do you want to see yourself?
यार कहाँ ना कहाँ I really want lung transplantation to really pick up in India, and I want to be one of the probably lead sort of people in this.
And when you say I want it to get, you know, like pick up, what exactly does it mean? Because, you know, for me, you know, I don't even know what it means. So what it means?
I'll give you the best example.
Yeah.
The mecca of lung transplantation in the world is in Toronto General Hospital, Canada.
Okay.
They do 250 lung transplants in 1 year. In 1 year. India, unfortunately, we have got 4 times the population of Canada. We have got 4 times the diseases of Canada.
More requirement.
But we are not even at 1/4 the capacity.
And what, according to you, is the reason for this?
Lack of awareness, lack of knowledge, lack of expertise.
Okay.
People don't know. People, लोग को लगता है कि chronic disease है भाई, ये disease करके ठीक है, whatever, I lived my life, it's okay. They don't know that there is something known as a second innings. आप second innings भी खेल सकते हैं. ये test match लंबा है.
And there are very good probabilities of you improving your
Exactly. Don't. This is not a one day. This is not a T20 test match है. Second innings आपको है. There is a possibility. But people don't know this.
life. Wow. And the third reason?
The third reason I feel is, you know, I'm always in awe of people जो बोलते हैं ना कि पटरी से थोड़ा हटके करते हैं कुछ ना कुछ. You know, it's very unnatural for people in the medical profession to remove time, you know.
Yes.
One of the first people who I did a podcast with was a dentist, and today he's become a huge guy in Bollywood because he's a very good mimicry artist. He's an entertainer. And he was so good that ultimately he is no longer a dentist, but he is now completely into mimicry. He's doing great.
Wow.
It was fun to have him on the show. It was so inspiring to listen to his story because I didn't want the end result. I wanted his journey.
Wow.
जैसे आप पूछ रहे हो कि
Yes.
क्या हुआ, मुझे बताओ
Exactly.
क्यों आपने किया,
Yeah.
ये मेरे लिए important है. I did a podcast with one of my colleagues who goes by the tagline of surgeon by day and singer by night.
Wow.
He's an
Wow.
ENT surgeon. He's a colleague. He's an ENT surgeon. He's very good in his surgeries, but he's got this passion. He's a great singer. He's a guitarist. And if you see in the Mumbai music circle and all, he's always performing kaha na kaha. He's being, invited in different forum and all.
Wow. So do you feel that, we don't have time or doctors don't have time? This can be just a myth. It's you people are really, really busy. But if you want to take out time, you actually can take out. I mean,
आप
it's
कर
something
सकते
you
हो.
really
It depends कि आप कितने passionate हो.
कितने passionate हो.
You'll have to juggle a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's so easy.
It's gonna be easy.
Because our lives are not very black and white. कि सवेरे 6 घंटा मैं free हूँ, मैं कुछ भी कर सकता हूँ, रात को ही मैं काम करूँगा, ऐसे नहीं होता है. So you have to remove time. बहुत juggling is involved. But see, if you're passionate about something, I believe you can do it.
Wow. So when it comes to juggling, I want to know from you your experience when you started, like, when your wife kicked you for this. I'm really thankful to her, first of all. If, I'm sure she's listening to this. Because of that, we get to see this person who can be so vulnerable, so that's like definitely thankful to her as well. But when this whole thing started, you definitely knew that this is not going to be very easy, effortless kind of thing.
Yes.
So how was that journey? I'm sure you must have had many resistance, within you, doubts probably, or whatever questions. That what were those questions and how did you tackle it?
बहुत सारे doubts थे, बहुत सारे questions थे.
Like,
but
what
the
were the
main
doubts?
doubt for me was how good will I be with the mic in front of me. That was a main doubt.
Okay. Were you always been kind of a speaker and very good at talking?
Yeah, I'm
and
very
all
good in
those?
talking a lot. See,
Okay.
when I go to a conference or something, also people say कि यार तुम बात अच्छे करते
बहुत
हो. A
अच्छे
lot of my
करते हो.
colleagues बोलते हैं
Yeah.
कि तुम
So
बात
you
अच्छे
knew
करते
it,
हो.
that you're good at it.
So probably I knew कि हाँ, gift of the gab है.
Yeah.
But in a studio, in such an environment with such professional, first of all,
Setup and
I'm
all.
technologically absolutely challenged. So ये सारे technology देख के it's a new
It's
thing
very
for me.
difficult to believe,
It's-
but yes.
No, I am. Believe me, I am. So there was a lot of self-doubt.
Okay.
Whether will I be able to do it? And
Okay.
I remember मेरा जो first podcast था, I traveled all the way to Ahmedabad. I had absolutely no idea कि studio कैसा होता है, कितना cameras required है, mic setup कैसा रहता है, how to कितना quality.
You all alone, you traveled?
All alone. I spoke to two of my seniors. The first was Dr. Dhirencha, who did the first heart transplant in Gujarat. The second was Dr. Gyanish Thakkar, who did the first lung transplant on an Indian patient in India.
Wow.
So it was just one conversation with them कि sir ऐसा मैं try कर रहा हूँ, would you come as a guest? They readily agreed.
Wow.
But now looking back, I think it was a very brave step, But I'm thankful that I
exactly.
did it. I'm really thankful I did it because that opened a lot of doors. That led me to believe that नहीं यार ठीक है possible है. I look at that podcast now and I know कि बहुत raw है.
Yeah.
And I am trying to improve. With every podcast, you keep improving. Content creation, you keep improving. Ideas आपके अलग-अलग आते रहते हैं. But that opened, the door. So then I went to Calcutta because I wanted to cover the Calcutta rape case through the eyes of a senior pulmonologist in Kolkata.
Okay. Would you be comfortable discussing it in brief? What exactly, came out of it? Like, your perspective. Because, that question did come in my mind, but I was not sure whether I should be
So
asking.
my perspective, my take is that I sometimes judge a success of a podcast based on the people who are in the studio and their reaction. That podcast, there was an eerie silence in the entire studio. I'm sure. Cameramen.
It was from the same,
same. It
hospital?
wasn't,
the person whom you had
No, he
involved.
was not working in the same hospital, but he had come across this girl in different conferences and a lot of them, and it was a shocker to the entire pulmonary community, respiratory community, because ये लड़की जो थी, she was a respiratory postgraduate. So when the podcast was going on, I am literally telling you, वो जो हम इंग्लिश में बोलते हैं ना, pin drop silence,
Yeah.
that was there in the studio. Because the technical team जो था, cameramen, all of them had taken part in the protests.
Oh.
So they were, कहाँ ना कहाँ उनको समझ में आ रहा था यार, हाँ देखो, they were relating to the podcast. And at the end of the podcast also, they were like, एकदम सबके रोंगटे एकदम खड़े हो गए थे.
I'm right now getting goosebumps as I'm listening to you.
This, and everyone at that time just wanted justice, and it's what you should also want.
Yeah,
But
very true.
वैसे ही था. That was, I think, according to me, one of the best podcasts that I was in because of the content, and we had just gone in blank, and I came back really, learning a lot.
So, what is your intention, doctor, when you go for any podcast? Because I understand you are focusing more of obviously doctors, so when you go for a surgery, you have one target. Not surgery. When you are doing the consultation, you have a one particular intention or target to achieve in your mind as a physician, right? When you are going for a podcast, what is that intention that you set and you go?
So I must admit that I'm quite new to podcasts, so I still don't have that sort of an advancement in my thinking skills or speaking skills that I will be a very spontaneous person. So for me, a podcast is not just arriving in a studio. आप 1-2 घंटा shoot करके आप जाओ, वैसे नहीं. I start researching on the podcast, क्या topic है, quite some time back.
Person and everything.
I'm in touch with at least 2-3 people, whoever will agree to come. And then I always have this sort of a podcast flow. So when I sit, it's a blank sheet of paper, and I always ask myself this question कि यार लोगों को ये टॉपिक के बारे में क्या जानना है. It's a simple question, because see, as a doctor you already have an understanding about the disease, so your questions probably will start at this level.
Yeah, you understand people
Exactly.
Really well, more than or better than what normal people can understand. You have
Exactly.
seen them at their best and at
Yeah.
their worst.
Exactly. So for that, I need to now come down to this level कि एक जनरल पॉपुलेशन को ये टॉपिक के बारे में क्या जानना है. So my first thought process is on that, and then I start sort of framing a sort of an outline कि ऐसा ऐसा है, ये टॉपिक मुझे जानना है, सब कुछ है. There are still things which are quite spontaneous because it depends on the speaker also.
Yeah.
And I do take suggestions also from the doctors who are coming in, because some of them have got way more experience and a lot. So sometimes they also say ki Kapil, so and so thing is also important. Please incorporate this also.
Okay.
So then I take that aspect also into consideration.
Wow. What is the best, when you told, your people, fellow doctors, your family members probably, what was the, the most encouraging reaction from people?
So the most encouraging, obviously, everyone just congratulated me because,
Yeah.
see, as doctors, now sometimes you are stuck
Do you think
in.
it's shocking? Was it shocking for people more than like?
बहुत ज्यादा. They were
Yeah.
like, यार, how did you come up with this idea? यार तुम कैसे जो भी कर रहे हो तुम बहुत अच्छे कर रहे हो.
But
लेकिन
कैसे
कैसे कर रहे हो यार? It's like very good. It's refreshing. It's a change. See, just I tell you, sometimes you're just stuck in a very mundane sort of a
Yeah,
routine.
Your life. That's
Exactly.
It. Like that
To
becomes
do
your life.
something apart from this also needs a lot of time management, a lot of courage, a lot of grit, and you need to experiment a lot.
Yeah.
So I recently was in a conference. A lot of my colleagues, they really came up to me and they were like, "Yeah, we really love ki, you're doing this. Acha lag raha hai." And hopefully there are more people who join. So now a lot of doctors are also into podcasts.
Wow. Do you think that you are one of those people who are inspiring your fraternity to come up with this?
I can't take credit,
Yeah.
credit for all of that.
But,
I
but
don't
you
know,
must. Where you need to, you must.
but I can tell you, I'm the first pulmonologist in India, at least, to have a podcast of my own. But I really hope, because I know people from my fraternity who are much better speakers than me,
Wow.
who have got a much better gift of the gap. If these people start, see, ultimately all of us want knowledge dissemination into the public. That's what all of us want. So if there are more people who take up to this after seeing me or whatever, it's brilliant. And I'm sure they'll do
You are
much
actually
better.
serving your purpose even better way.
Exactly my point.
Right.
You're serving community in a much better way.
Wow. And what was, the kind of judgments that also made you doubt yourself in the beginning, probably?
See,
Or how do you tackle those kind of judgments?
You will always have mixed
Very
reactions.
true,
तो
very
वैसे
true.
तो था ही, जैसे
Yes.
I'll have reactions, अरे यार क्या यार काम चल नहीं रहा है क्या, YouTube चैनल खोल दिया.
Ah,
वैसे भी
yes,
होते हैं.
exactly. People think
It's-
from that point of view.
हाँ, वैसे
Is
है.
it your side hustle kind of income?
God. And कपिल शर्मा बन गया यार तू मेडिसिन का कपिल शर्मा, वैसे सब भी है.
अच्छा.
It can be. See, you
And
have
how
to.
do you tackle all these things?
वो बोलते हैं ना, you listen from here and you leave from here. You need to have that attitude.
Wow. But what gives you this kind of clarity now that you have started this journey? You are enjoying this journey.
I'm enjoying it too much.
Wow.
बहुत ज़्यादा enjoy कर रहा हूँ. This is what, so like you asked me, how do you tackle this? See, I'm convinced about this. I am enjoying this. I love it. That's it. That's the way I tackle.
Wow.
I don't care about people's judgments. So, there are a lot of people who really appreciated me और जो मुझे बहुत congratulate और comment भी किए. So why don't I concentrate on that?
Those people.
जो
Very
positivity है मैं वो positivity ले लूँ.
true.
And there are some of my friends को मैंने frankly भी बोला, please ये podcast देख के यार मुझे frank opinion बताओ कि क्या है. And they have given me really constructive criticisms also. कि यार तू थोड़ा ये बेटर कर, ये कर, वैसे कर. तो I really take it. One of my school friends in fact told me कि you tend to go on the right a lot, So now कभी-कभी I become थोड़ा conscious also, with regards to my position and also whole lot of things. So a lot of my friends really loved the fact that I've taken into this.
Wow. And doctor, now every time you do a podcast, what exactly do you feel, shifts within you? And can you tell us that one, apart from the Kolkata one, any one podcast, it can be even your first podcast where you had absolutely no idea how it will go. What exactly changes after every podcast for you as a human and you as a surgeon, doctor also? Because your main aim is obviously creating awareness.
You learn a lot. That's one thing which I can say. When you meet people from different, even medical backgrounds, different professions, kind of sacrifices, क्या उन्होंने किया करके, you get inspired by a lot of stories, I'll tell you 2 stories that ye hai.
Yeah.
See, in medicine kaisa hai na, people will always keep doubting you until you do it for the first time.
People in the sense, who are these people?
Your own community, general
Okay.
people, sab log. See, suppose you are doing something for the first time. I had a lovely time discussing about the first lung transplant because I'm a transplant physician. So probably I was a bit biased.
Yeah.
But the kind of things in which your own community will say कि यार नहीं होगा, not possible, नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन आपने कर दिखाया.
Yeah, that happiness.
Exactly. So ये सारी जो stories है, ये सारे आपको बहुत सिखाते हैं कि if you are convinced about something, if you have that expertise, you have that thing within you to go, to learn it, to make this into, you want to convert your dream into a reality.
Wow.
ये आपको सीखने बहुत मिलता है कि आप convinced हो ना, आप कर दिखाओ.
Very true.
जो सेम लोग जो बोल रहे हैं ना कि impossible है, ये हो जाएंगे, they'll convert into, चलो ठीक है, possible हो गया.
Wow. Doctor, do you feel that, since you have started podcasting, do you feel that you were always an amazing doctor, you knew it, you have given your 100%? Do you also feel that somewhere you are getting better in your profession also as a human? Somewhere something is adding up or some sort of clarity or...
See, probably I'll tell you one thing which has definitely changed in my practice because I insist कि the doctors coming on my podcast ensure that they speak in a language which the patient can understand. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मेरे खुद के counseling में I also have now adopted a lot of that.
Yeah, so you talk in a patient's language.
Exactly, which probably I would not have stressed so much 5 years back.
Yeah.
But now I feel there is an active change in me only because I am expecting the same thing from a guest.
Yeah.
So
Even
if I am expecting this, why can't I implement it?
I must tell you this, the moment I came to know that, you would be, my first question was this, I hope he speaks in language which I understand. And now after speaking to you, it doesn't feel that I'm talking to a person who also has a capacity to completely talk in a language which I would not understand. I will have to say, Doctor, please speak in English. You definitely have that capacity and you're speaking in such a simple language without... talking about any medical terms, that definitely must be also helpful to your patients. So do you feel that somewhere it is probably helping you from
It is definitely helping me. I'm not so good in taking compliments, but thank you so much, for that. But yes,
no, I'm now
do.
realizing that it's been so effortless. Yeah. Now coming to the next question, I want to ask you this question. See, when we talk about the way I told you about my mom's, health journey, and she has gone through almost 10 to 15 hospitalization, almost 12 proper ICU hospitalization, and 3 to 4 just hospital mein jana, then realizing daycare and coming back, those kind of. Okay, so I have spent a lot of time with all the doctors, everyone. And one amazing thing that we all, aam janta, loves about doctors is you always give that feeling that, everything is in control. Daro mat, main hoon. Nothing is happening to your mom. Even if she is in ICU, I am there, don't worry, have faith. You can go home. You can go to sleep. So you as a doctor, you have that innate capacity to, hold that control कि मैं हूँ, आपको डरने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. But when it comes to being on a podcast, being a host on a podcast, asking certain questions that can make person feel little uncomfortable because you want to get best thing out of that person. So how do you portray or how do you come up with that kind of vulnerability while being a doctor full time into this profession? Do you find some sort of balancing over there?
See, my wife always tells me कि मेरा एक dual personality है.
अच्छा.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde जैसे ही है.
Oh.
So if you probably come to my OPD, come to the hospital, talk to me, आपको ऐसे लगेगा यार कपिल आप थोड़े अलग हो. It's a very different
I'm sure about
sort of a
it.
thing. When I come inside, the studio over here, I'm a very different person.
Yes.
So it helps. You have to switch off one personality and get the other one on. That is what I feel it really helps.
And do you
me.
think that it's gifted? Like it's in it? Or do you also think that it's everybody probably has it, but we don't
I think everybody
try
has it.
to find it out?
Everybody has it. It's just a matter ki whether you want to sort of activate it and whether how successful you will be. I've got certain friends who are in content creation who are doing amazing, phenomenal work. And
Who are doctors?
Doctors,
Okay.
proper, medicos who are
Yeah.
into podcasting and talking. And it's a whole different aspect. Like I knew them और मैंने कभी realize ही नहीं किया कि यार ये एक aspect भी आपका था. Because कभी कभी you are just so much into your work, into your profession ना कि आपका एक aspect ही एक बार रहता है.
Very true.
And now it's a completely different thing. So
You don't get chance to grow as a
Exactly.
human, as a soul.
Exactly. So now it feels so good to see them, in these two sort of a dual role. समय कहाँ ना कहाँ I think even मुझे भी वो activate करना है. I'm still learning. There's a long way to go, but it's a decent start.
And what every podcast, after every podcast, what is that one takeaway you would like to take from all the doctors whom you meet? What exactly is your experience till now?
Completely depends on the guest. जैसे
What
I
is your
told you,
most memorable then?
most memorable वाला जो है, I think would have to be Dr. Sumit Shinde. The one from a dentist who went on to a mimicry artist and today was doing so well. That guy followed his passion so immensely and deeply that he's now got a studio in his house. He told me everything. कि घर पे कैसे studio सब कुछ किया है. For someone to follow their passion so rigorously and so voraciously, I think it takes a lot.
And he doesn't miss out on his life as a dentist.
He does. But then he's like, see,
This is my
exactly. जैसे एक
more
दरवाजा बंद है तो
serious
दूसरा
calling.
खुल ही जाता है. That's what. So it's a very difficult decision. It
Yeah.
might seem very easy right now retrospectively, but
Yeah.
that's exactly what I asked him. कि वो junction पे, to do this, it's a huge step.
Yeah.
But he did it, and today it's
And he's
just
doing
brilliant.
very well.
Yes. And at the same time, when I have very educational podcasts, my take-home message also is because I learn a lot from them. There are some things which even I don't know. Some intricate things about
Very
certain
true.
diseases जो मुझे भी नहीं पता है. So these medical things I keep learning from them. So मेरे podcast के through I see both. I see even the personality thing which I can sort of inculcate and imbibe, and even the medical knowledge जो मुझे आता है. So I try to look for both things.
So you must be feeling very fulfilling as a doctor, as a podcaster. Life must have become very, very fulfilling for you.
बहुत
So what's that one message you would like to give all the doctors who, according to you, has huge capacity to do a lot of things beyond their profession, but for some or other reasons they are not doing it? What's that one thing? Or
So,
probably more.
I think some things I would like to say. First is better time management, because if जैसे आप बोल रहे हो, if some of my medical colleagues do have certain interests or something, whatever factors holding you back, I think just better time management will allow you to fulfill it. That's number one. Number two is a lot of my friends actually I feel have got so much of potential as content creators. But I think they are not exploring that aspect at all. So I want people actually to go ahead and do it. Third, one thing which I've realized through my podcast is all of us somehow consciously need to change the way we talk to patients in a language that they understand. So it has to be a very conscious change, but it should be done. Because believe me, at the end of the day, patient satisfaction, you can't beat patient satisfaction.
Wow.
Your degrees, your abroad fellowships, your experience is nothing compared to patient satisfaction.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. What an amazing discussion we have had. I would like to, before we end this amazing podcast, I would like to have one fun rapid fire with you. So are you ready?
Perfect.
Okay. So here we go. Podcast mic or stethoscope?
Till now, stethoscope, and
Okay.
I think it will stay that way.
Okay. Where do you see DTalks with Kapil going in next 5 years?
Hopefully, it becomes a very it's a very household name. A lot of people must subscribe to it for whatever medical information that you need. That is what I'm looking in the next 5 years.
Okay. Where do you see yourself as a doctor, as a person, as a doctor who is specialized in lungs transplant, uh, going in profession somewhere related to the podcast, thanks to your podcasting journey?
So my podcasting hopefully gets a lot of information. Doing this podcast and so many others, there's a lot of information which I want to disseminate on lung transplantation, which is
Okay.
primarily my area of
Reason,
focus.
yeah.
So I believe that I can constructively use podcasts, use contents, and use social media to spread awareness. So if this happens, believe me, this will really help in a lot of information about lung transplantation to be disseminated.
Wow. What are the two things that you want our country to have, or country to shift their mindset to make our country as Mecca for, this lungs transplant? The way you said about Toronto.
So first of all, you need a lot of donations to happen. Sadly, with the amount of population that we have, the cadaver donation, the brain dead donation in India is nowhere near to its full capacity. So we want a lot of donations to take place. Second, we also need a lot of expertise because it's a very complicated branch. So you need more surgeons, you need more physicians, you need more trained nurses, you need more trained physiotherapists. So you need both of this to simultaneously happen.
Wow. The next question is ICU or interview?
What I prefer, I'll prefer the interview.
Okay. And the reason being?
The reason being because I am more a consolidated sort of an OPD guy. My aim is that my patient should not reach the ICU.
Okay. You don't want to go to ICU because you don't want them to reach.
Exactly.
Amazing
मतलब
reason.
अगर ICU
Amazing.
मेरा शक्ल ना देखे ना तो वो बेहतर है. Normal.
Okay,
pulmonology
amazing. One medical myth you wish everyone unlearned.
Unlearned that vaping is cool.
Vaping is cool. Please, guys, I hope you are listening. And if you are vaping, please take his advice seriously. One quality every doctor must have.
To be very good in communication.
Amazing. Next one is a fun question.
Yeah.
Mumbai traffic or
No,
hospital?
not Mumbai traffic. I don't
So
even
you
want to
don't-
listen to the
you
other
don't want to
one.
know the next question also.
Mumbai traffic, no. Capital N.
Okay, breath in one word.
Hope, necessity.
Wow. Breath in one word, hope. Wow, amazing. Any particular book that changed your life?
No, unfortunately, I'm not a very avid reader. So
Okay.
I don't want to be the boring doctor and talk about my medical books.
Okay.
But अगर आप force कर ही रहे हैं मुझे तो Harrison's, that's our textbook, for internal medicine.
Okay. And any particular habit in your life that changed your life or changed the way you look at life?
I think a bit of my love for animals has increased my empathy.
Wow, that's so amazing. And finish this sentence. A doctor becomes a healer when?
When he treats a patient like he would want another doctor to treat his own relative.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. I want you to again share this one more time.
So a doctor will become a healer when he treats his patients the same way he wants another doctor to treat his relatives.
Wow, this particular sentence is always going to, live in my life. And every time I think I'm going to think about what an amazing podcast we had, this one sentence will definitely stay. And I think that, with this podcast, my perspective, my view towards doctor, I have always looked at them as someone who, as angels in my life, because my mom is alive today because of doctors, but my view towards doctor per se has changed because meeting someone like you. So I want to ask this one question, last question before we conclude this most amazing podcast. What is your view on the contribution of this universal energy, God, blessings, while treating your your patient, or while a patient coming out of all the
See, I
problems?
feel it's very simple.
To what extent you believe?
I only feel that medical branch doctors, we are just a medium.
Wow.
Ultimately, the work is being done by someone else. We are a medium,
So you also completely in that surrendering mode?
completely.
Wow.
Everything is happening by a superior being through us. That's what I
Any
believe.
particular miracle, any particular miracle that you have experienced where you still don't have, from the medical field or medical science, you still don't have any answer for the same, where you just say that, okay, this is just a miracle, I have no answer.
No, unfortunately, I myself have not come
Come
across,
across something
such
like
a
this,
case. No,
but something that, you know, that is like miraculously happened, like you were not hoping for something, and then, you know,
Okay, so
just
I'll tell you a very
amazing.
interesting story.
Yeah.
If there is time in your
Yes,
podcast on that.
yes,
This is a true
definitely.
story. I can't take the name
We
of
have
the
time
hospitals and
for
all.
miracles.
So I was sitting along with my colleagues in the OPD, and there was a female patient who was being wheeled in the wheelchair. She was completely, knocked out, and unfortunately, we learned that unke relatives got the patient and they ran away because there was some domestic problems or something. And they came with an X-ray जिसमें एक साइड का लंग completely white out हो गया था. We didn't know कि क्या हो रहा है करके. And now कोई relatives नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं, how to treat, how to get a history, nothing. So we did a police case, and because there was a lot of wheezing, I decided to take charge and treat this patient like an asthma while the police case and everything is ongoing, everything. This was Saturday morning. उसको एडमिट कर दिया. शी वॉज ऑन ऑक्सीजन, गॉट द नेबुलाइजेशन, गॉट स्टेरॉइड्स, एवरीथिंग. मंडे मॉर्निंग आई कम बैक, और मेरे जो रेसिडेंट्स थे, आई टेक द मेल राउंड्स, पहले पूरा मेल वार्ड का. आई कम टू द फीमेल वार्ड एक्सपेक्टिंग कि दिस पेशेंट हैज़ नॉट मेड इट बिकॉज शी इज़ वेरी बैड. द मिनट आई एंटर, वहाँ पे दे वर सर्विंग फूड, एंड दिस फीमेल इज वेटिंग इन द लाइन. एंड आई लुक्ड एट हर, मैं बोला यार ये तो वो स्ट्रेचर में ऑलमोस्ट अनकॉन्शियस कंडीशन में आ गई थी. व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, हाउ डिड दिस पेशेंट गेट अप? लाइन में खड़ी छोड़ो, ये पेशेंट उठी कैसे? So then we realized that she unfortunately had a condition which is known as ABPA. Let me not go into the specifics, but this is like an asthma जिसमें fungal की भी थोड़ी elements होते. She responded magically to the steroids. So we
Wow.
gave steroids, and she just got up within 2 days, which none of us expected कि वो वैसे हो जाएगा.
Wow, truly a miracle.
Truly, matlab, we didn't expect. I have written this as a case report also, concentrating on the medical condition. I unfortunately did not give this social background
Yes,
also.
yes.
It's not fair to do that in
Yeah, very true.
reputed medical journals, but this case I will always remember.
Wow, amazing. So we are definitely concluding this amazing podcast on a miracle. So doctor, thank you so very much from me and all the listeners, that you provided such an amazing information, and I'm sure every person listening to this podcast has changed the way they look at lungs and taking care of lungs, and what kind of things that can happen if you don't take it seriously. Because let me tell you one thing, till today I never took the health of lung or how to take care of lung, all these things so seriously. So thank you so much for the kind of work you are doing. Thank you so much for taking out time. And I'm sure this is not a first one. We will be meeting to know so much more about you
Fingers
and your
crossed.
life.
Yes.
Thank you so
much for having me on this podcast.
Thank you so much. The honor is all ours. Thank you so much.
You.